because I don't know which one you're going to choose at home. So if I were to choose the rectangle model, and I have 20 times 6, I would start by drawing my rectangle. I'm going to call this side 6, and remember that I put my 6 far enough over so that way I have room to factor out the ones. And I'm going to call the top 20, and remember I'm going to put that up high enough to factor out those 10s. You could put 20 here and 6 here. Because of the commutative property, we can switch the order of those. When I think about 6, I think, can I factor out 1s or 10s? And 6 doesn't have any 10s, so I'm going to have to pull out the 1s. 6 has 6 1s, so I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I can draw my lines to show that I have 6 rows here in my array. Now, of course, I could pull out 21s from the 20, but you guys, it would take forever. And I want to make sure I have time to eat dinner. So instead, I'm going to factor out the 10s from here. And 20 has 2 10s. So I'm going to say 10, 20, and I'm going to split that. Now I know if it was 1 over here, it's going to be 1 over here. And if this was 10 on top, it's going to be 10 on bottom. And I'm going to imagine in my mind that there are 10 columns going down in each of these, and 10 columns going, but I'm not going to draw them, it would just take too long. And then I'm just going to figure out what is the area of just this rectangle right here. Well, I know the side is 1, the top is 10, so my equation is 1 times 10. And 1 times 10 is 10. And then I know that this is also going to be 10 because it's 1 times 10. And this is going to be 10, and all of them are going to be 10. So to find the answer to my equation, 20 times 6, I'm going to simply count by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. The answer to this one is 120. And I kind of took up a lot of space right there, so I'm going to write it right here and circle it. One way to do that is to draw your rectangles. My caution to you is to make sure that you check that first little rectangle and find the area. It's not always 1 times 10. Sometimes it might be 10 times 10. Maybe it'll even be 100 times 1. So make sure you always check what's the area of that first rectangle. Another way to do that is to factor out the 10s in an equation. So that I write the equation, and then this is where we change its pajamas into its pajamas. So we're going to take the 20 and it's going to get ready for bed. He's going to look different, but it's still going to be 20. And so 20 has 2 10s. Another way to think of 20 is 2 times 10. It's still 20, it's just I changed his clothes. He's getting ready for bed, he looks different. And then I'm going to put his blankets on. 6, another way to think of 6 is 6 1s. 6 times 1. It's still the same, it's still a 6. It just looks different. Put on his blankets, bring your multiplication sign down. And then I can switch the order because I'm really good at counting by 10s. So I want to make this so it's 10 times 1, which I know is 10, and that allows me to count by 10s. And then I'm going to put the 2 and the 6 together and bring down that multiplication sign. Finally, 2 times 6 is 12, and 10 times 1 is 10. So now I know to find the answer, I have to count by 10s, and I have to get 12 of them. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Either way, my answer is 120. If you run out of room on this paper, you're not going to do both methods. But if you do run out of room, you can always do it on a separate piece of paper and then just staple it to it or on the back. And that is how you figure out the answer by factoring out the 10.